Welcome back to Zenless Zone 1. This is part 2 of the ZZZ playthrough where I try to beat Hollow Zero Core with all the modifiers, except I only used level 1s. I highly suggest you watch the first part, because this is part 2. Jumping straight into where we left off last time, I have to beat my arch nemesis this early because I need more XP to unlock more Hollow Zero levels. That means I literally have to beat the hardest boss in the game right off the bat. This boss alone took me 2 whole rows of recordings over a couple of days. Starting off, I already knew this guy was big trouble, so I chose Billy for this mission. I wanted to make sure that I don't get hit, so I used the ranged DPS. Sadly, I died twice just trying to get to this boss, so I only get 1 team revive left. Fighting the last boss though, I depleted its HP bar fairly easily and wonder why I always hated this one. Then I was reminded exactly why. It had a second phase which had attacks that are really hard to dodge because of the weird hitboxes and the very minimal telegraphing. I was willing to get carpal tunnel just so I could get past this mission. Sadly, even with Billy's range, this guy had way too many variations of gap closers, so eventually I'd miss the timing because I thought it would be the other attack. Just like that, my 3 revives were up. The second attempt was retrying the whole mission with Korin instead. Korin's damage numbers made me realize that the bamboo QTEs dealt a lot more damage. It sucks to be level 1 man. I eventually scrapped this run and tried again with only 2 characters. The reason is that if you have 2 characters, then you can directly use the bamboo skills whenever you stun an enemy. With this discovery, the damage is now showing some red bars instead of pixels. However, it's still not enough to outlast the dead-end butcher. The third attempt was where I made a game-changing discovery. It effectively gives me 5 replays without going all the way back to the beginning. If you take this revive kit, it gives you 2 character respawns. But if you take this kit and then enter the hollow fissure, then you can get this revive kit again, giving a total of 4 character respawns. Since I only have 2 characters anyway, this gives me 5 team revives in total. With this many lives in stock, my chances of winning shot up from 0.01 to 0.1. Why am I doing this again? Now you might remember the brain dead cycle tech I used with the wolf last time, where I'd use up all my parries to stun him, then use Anby's ult to stun him again and repeat the cycle until it dies. That's a good idea, but this time, even if I use all my parries and Anby's ult, it's only barely enough to stun this boss once, so I can't use the brain dead cycle here at all. I'd have to be able to dodge more than half of the time if I want to win this fight. In the next attempt, I lose one of the revives right off the bat, but it's not a big deal. The issue though is that I lost all my lives and Korin at the beginning of phase 2. I knew this wasn't the run immediately, so I started all over again. I beat up the small ethereals, grabbed the hearts, completed the fissure to refresh the hearts, and complete the phase 1 of the boss without getting hit. I remember being so hyped at this moment because I haven't gotten this far in such a good condition. But the battle's not over until it's over. In fact, I think it's only begun. I had to stay on my toes unless I want this to happen. But that's alright, we still have a heart and 2 revives left. Slowly but surely, we chip away at the butcher's HP bar. We got hit because I keep forgetting about this guy's follow-up attacks. Okay fine, it is what it is, we push through. We just have to make sure we don't get hit first, then deal damage second. But even with that in mind, I still get hit because this guy has a slow wind-up into 2 direct attacks. It's really hard to judge when he does his follow-up attacks because it happens instantly, and you have to decide in a split second if you have to dodge twice in a row or save your second dodge for a delayed follow-up. Either way, this sort of attack depleted all of our revives, and so we have to start all over. At this point, this fight was really getting on my nerves because it takes around 10 to 12 minutes to beat all the enemies leading up to this boss. I decided to do other things first, like roaming around getting HIA coins and doing some bamboo gacha. Even my dailies on the second day did not give enough Internaut XP, so I really had to beat this guy. I've checked every nook and cranny of this level for any more advantages like the heart duplication trick. However, the secret trick wasn't just turning up. I tried out other quirky comps as well, including trio teams, but then again, this guy's insane moves just gets me every time. With each attempt, I get closer and closer to getting it to 0 before depleting all of my revives. Closer and closer until the fated run. Dead End Butcher, I've come to bargain. In the final run, I discovered the trick. The secret recipe. It's called not getting hit. Seriously. Whenever he charges an attack, I just double dash out of the area and stay away until he finishes his outbursts. I honestly can't believe that this worked because with Billy and infinite range, he got wiped out too. With this trick, I go in and build the stun meter after an attack, get out and wait for the next series of attack. go in and repeat until stunned, then go ham with Koran. So every run, I got a total of 5 attempts from all the revives. It took me around 20 runs to complete this. I actually used up all except one of my revives in the last run. This makes a total of 99 tries before I completed this level. I just put 100 on the thumbnail because it looks better. Haha, you got clickbaited. Still, 99 attempts to finish this commission? You can imagine how relieved I was to get this over with. However, I still used up the revives to beat this guy, so I wouldn't say I mastered this fight just yet. I will meet him again but without the revives, so I need to get ready when the time comes. With that, we unlock the first actual Hollow Zero level. You gotta be kidding me, right?
One eternity later.
That's actually a lot easier than I thought it was. Risonias give way too much power early on, and these bosses don't even have their second phases yet. They're just introductory levels after all. It is what it is. We unlock drive discs as well, granting a huge power spike, so all these levels are just easy pickings. But what's actually hard though is the other rally commissions. More specifically, the ones where these two are present. One of them is hard enough to deal with, but the difficulty spike of having to deal with both of them is just nuts. This took me about 30 attempts to finish. It's not as bad as the Dead and Butcher one, but it's definitely bad. On the first run, I didn't actually know that it was going to be this hard. I got to the end without any issues, and only then did I realize what I signed up for. Two bosses doing two different attacks is really hard to dodge perfectly. We can stun one of them, but the other will always be bothering us and disrupting our combos. This makes it so that the other boss lives a lot longer, making the fight longer than it should have been. And with a longer fight, the more time for us to get hit. But if we focus on dodging and waiting for the moment to land free hits, then the fight takes even longer, because it gives the bosses more time to hit us. It's ironic that focusing on dodging will get you hit more often. The third option is parrying whoever attacks, so we don't need to think about dodging. However, this spreads the damage and stagger between the two of them, and the parry bar runs out quickly by doing this, so this is a no-go either. So, if we can't try to focus on one and can't focus on both either, what do we do when fighting two bosses at once? Well, we don't. The solution is in the area that we're using. The white one will try to hit you with range attacks. The black one will try to chase you down. That means if you hide in this spot over here, then the attacks of the white one will be blocked by the walls, and the black one will be isolated with you. Now, there is a chance that the white one will teleport onto you instead, but that just makes things a lot easier. Let me introduce you to the concept of chain stunning. Characters using QTEs will always stagger the other enemy's hit with the exception of the final boss. This means that you can use your QTEs on one enemy to build up the stun bar of another one while they can't do anything. That's also the reason why I'm using Nicole here instead of Rina, because Nicole can group them up and the QTEs can hit both of them. After your QTE is done, you don't try to deal damage to the stunned enemy, but instead you focus on staggering the other one. You go ahead and build it up to full, but before you trigger this QTE, you wait until the last second for the first one to stand up again so you can repeat the stagger, thus creating a stun cycle that's easier to manage than fighting two bosses at once. But what if one of them dies? Then you just fight them. Fighting one boss is 10 times easier than fighting two bosses at the same time. Using this tactic, we finally clear this level. There's so much more tactics that I want to show you guys, but I can explain it better when we get to the fights that they are relevant on. So if you guys like that, then please show your support because it helps out a lot. Also, so you get notified when I stop listening to my ADHD and actually make these vids.